The fear of looking stupid. False. Why most lawyers never start their own firm. All right, here's something I want to call out. The legal profession, law firm culture, is a peer pressure based culture. We learn so much about the importance of our reputation, and that's true, and there's great wisdom in there, but sometimes we let that go beyond the ethical aspects of our reputation, and it just turns into less about the character behind the reputation and more about the reputation in terms of public perception. What do people think of me? I think this is why people sometimes care so much about FaceTime in traditional law firms. Are people gonna think I'm not a hard worker if I leave at 5 to go to my kid's school play? If you let yourself view reputation as being all about public perception and what other people think of you, that's actually not a great way to live your life, and it's probably not an outlook that leads to the best, most ethical conduct, in my opinion. So all too often we have a peer pressure based culture where everyone is thinking, what do the other lawyers think of me? How am I being perceived by other lawyers? I really believe this is one of the things that gets in the way of attorneys starting their own firms. And honestly, I know it from my experience. When I was thinking about starting my own firm before I had really told anybody about it, I had a great fear that everybody in the profession would lecture me about what a terrible idea it was, especially early in my career. I could picture all of these established lawyers in their nice suits talking down to me about why I could never make it starting my own firm, and it just isn't done and it's ill-advised, yada, yada, yada. I think this is probably one of the top 2 reasons people don't start their law firms. The other one being, of course, will I make any money? But this is a big impediment for many. I think Mark Twain once said something like, I'm an old man and I've known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. And that was certainly true for me, because after all that worry, the fact is that when I finally did get around to mustering up the courage to tell everybody what I was doing, everyone was very encouraging, including all the people whom I thought would think it was a terrible idea. And many of them were helpful in sending clients my way. It's really just a matter of getting over that fear of looking stupid. Sometimes you just have to go out on a limb. And you know what? I had a great experience where people were encouraging, but even if that doesn't happen for you, and even if people do discourage you, you've got to, of course, analyze that criticism and not be defensive about it, but at the same time, not let it completely govern your choices. If you have a strong conviction and you can look at your situation objectively, take the emotion out of it, and if you still believe that you have what it takes to start a law firm, you should absolutely go for it, regardless of the opinion of other people. It's a funny thing to admit that all these fancy, mature lawyers are essentially succumbing to peer pressure, but it happens to all of us. If I can convince one person to break free of that frame of mind, I'll be happy. So thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, check out Practiced, and go start a great law firm.